We all know the feeling of when we finally get through security at our local airport, get ready to rush over to the gate, and are swiftly reminded of having to go through a maze-like section lined with glimmering luxury items. As we weave through shelves of discounted designer perfumes, gourmet chocolates and premium spirits, some of us feel a twinge of annoyance, while others succumb to the hedonistic pressure to buy at least one item, and we purchase a little something to bring home. However, what many travelers don't realize is that the massive global success of these glittering, duty-free airport sections was the brainchild of two humble, unassuming men from working-class America. Indeed, Robert Warren Miller and Chuck Feeney were anything but born on the path to multi-billion-dollar fortunes. And yet, they inadvertently managed to create a phenomenon that changed the landscape of airport shopping forever. Furthermore, their life stories only became more intriguing after they made their billions, with one of them having multiple children marry into European aristocracy, and the other one opting to give his billions away in secret, setting the modern template for philanthropy espoused by the likes of Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. In today's episode of Old Money Luxury, we'll describe how these two unexpected billionaires transformed mundane airport waiting areas into vibrant, must-visit shopping destinations, as we describe. The unexpected multi-billionaires, Robert Warren Miller and Chuck Feeney of duty-free shoppers. Roll out the red carpet, because in the glamorous world of duty-free retail, nobody has strutted quite like Robert Warren Miller and Chuck Feeney. Co-founders of duty-free shoppers, this dynamic duo transformed airport shopping from a mundane pastime into an empire of opulence worth $75 billion by 2024. Undoubtedly, dominating the scene with a whopping 38.5% market share, DFS has become the Ritz of retail, all thanks to a surge in globetrotters and their insatiable hunger for a good bargain on luxury items. And the living patriarch of this global retail Goliath is Robert Warren Miller, that 91-year-old titan whose bank account boasts a cool $2.4 billion. While living in Hong Kong, a city where wealth whispers in the winds, Miller has secured his spot among the city's elite. But it's not just his wallet that's bursting, it's his family tree too. Daughters Marie Chantal, Pia and Alexandra have not only inherited daddy's riches, but also snagged some of the most eligible blue bloods on the planet. For example, Marie Chantal is the princess wife of Crown Prince Pavlos of Greece, making her literally part of a royal family, and Pia has married a Getty, about as close as Americans get to royalty, as the Gettys are a legendary oil dynasty. Additionally, daughter Alexandra tied the knot with Diane von Furstenberg's son, further entrenching the Warren Miller family into the legendarily old money tactic of strategic intermarriage into the elite. Switching gears, let's turn our attention to the late Chuck Feeney, the less flashy but equally fascinating half of the DFS empire. Peaking with a fortune that could make your eyes water, a dizzying $8 billion, Feeney could have easily settled into a life of luxury and leisure. But no, that was too pedestrian for our man Chuck. Instead, he chose a path paved with philanthropy, adopting the radical philosophy of giving while living, setting the blueprint for the iconic giving pledge that billionaires like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates famously espouse these days. It's not every day you inspire the wealthiest chaps on the planet to open their vaults. Thus, Chuck Feeney didn't just dip his toes into charitable waters, he dove headfirst, funneling his entire fortune into causes that spanned from education to human rights. Furthermore, the chap was so covert with his donations, Forbes once dubbed him the James Bond of philanthropy, speaking to just how secretive he was at giving away his billions. Sadly, the curtain closed on Feeney's extraordinary life in October 2023, when he passed away at 92. He left not a penny to his name, but a legacy richer than most could dream of. $8 billion gifted to the betterment of society. Therefore, between Miller's business acumen and high society connections, and Feeney's awe-inspiring generosity, these men have not just walked the walk. They've danced, sprinted, and leapt their way through a life less ordinary, setting the gold standard for both wealth and altruism. However, their two lives weren't all royal weddings and self-improvement seminars for the likes of Buffett and Gates. Indeed, these two unexpected multi-billionaires began their life much like so many rags to riches tales, in the humble environs of the industrial East Coast. From the charm of a Massachusetts childhood to the economic strains of New Jersey during the Depression, Robert Warren Miller and Chuck Feeney's early lives seem like chapters lifted from a classic American novel. Yet, these narratives are far from fiction. They are the real-life prologues to the creation of the DFS Group, a global retail juggernaut. Born into the modest world of Quincy, Massachusetts on the 23rd of May 1933, Robert Warren Miller was the son of Ellis Miller, a dedicated bookkeeper and salesman, and Sophia "Sophie" Squarebriggs, a former nanny hailing from Canada. And his roots, branching across the Atlantic to the British Isles, imbued him with a hard-working cultural heritage that typifies the never-say-die attitude of so many rags-to-riches tales that lead to the American dream. Co-founder Chuck Feeney's story begins on the 23rd of April 1931 in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and his Irish-American parents, living in the shadows of the Great Depression, cultivated in him a mix of resolve and thriftiness that would define his later endeavours. In the case of Feeney, his lineage reaches back to County Fermanagh, Northern Ireland, echoing the stories of countless Irish immigrants who have woven their aspirations into the fabric of America. Now, while Miller's early days unfolded in a somewhat picturesque New England setting, his life was anything but a leisurely stroll. As a student at Cornell University's School of Hotel Administration, he earned the nickname the Sandwich Man by peddling bologna sandwiches to classmates. This entrepreneurial endeavor not only funded his education, but also hinted at a nascent business savvy that would flourish in years to come. Parallel to Miller's industrious undertakings, Feeney's childhood was a mosaic of odd jobs that pieced together his family's financial stability. Whether it was selling Christmas cards, caddying at local golf courses, or clearing snow-packed driveways, each job was a stepping stone that instilled a deep respect for the diligence and the dollar. After his stint as a radio operator in the U.S. Air Force during the Korean War, Feeney also landed at Cornell's School of Hotel Administration, thanks to the GI Bill. It was here that their paths crossed, setting the stage for a partnership that would reshape global retail. And during their time at Cornell, Miller and Feeney's entrepreneurial spirits continued to flourish. Miller's sandwich business expanded, catering to fraternities and student residences, while Feeney took on various odd jobs to supplement his GI stipend. But it was their shared dormitory at Cornell that would become the crucible for a friendship forged in shared dreams and kindred spirits. Here, amidst the academic halls and late-night study sessions, Miller and Feeney plotted a future that would leverage their combined talents in a venture neither could have envisioned alone. After graduating in 1956, Feeney traveled extensively in Europe, gaining valuable insights into the emerging duty-free market. And it was during this time that he reconnected with Miller, and their shared vision for a duty-free retail business took shape. Feeney's European travels illuminated opportunities in the duty-free market, sparking a collaboration that would blend his knack for spotting trends with Miller's operational prowess. Backed by their dual-sided unique talents and unyielding drive, they set out to create a business that catered to international travelers, leveraging their Ivy League-level business acumen. Now, when Robert Warren Miller and his former Cornell roommate, Chuck Feeney, co-founded Duty Free Shoppers, DFS, on the 7th of November 1960, the concept of duty-free shopping was still in its nascent stage, and their entrepreneurial vision aimed to seize the burgeoning spending power of military personnel and the increasing number of international travelers from Asia, spurred by post-World War II advancements in air travel. With that plan in tow, DFS initially included two minority partners, Alan Parker, holding a 20% stake, and Anthony M. Pillaro, with 2.5%. And the company commenced its operations in Hong Kong, where it opened two duty-free stores at the city's international airport. By 1962, DFS made its mark in the United States with a duty-free store in Honolulu, tapping into the Japanese tourist market. Then, the early 1960s saw DFS secure a critical concession for duty-free sales in Hawaii, allowing the company to market its luxury goods directly to Japanese travelers. This proved to be a pivotal moment, enabling DFS to offer high-end products at lower prices due to the absence of import taxes and duties. Quickly recognizing the vast potential in the duty-free sector, Feeney and Miller broadened their business model to include automobiles and tobacco products. DFS thus rapidly expanded its footprint, establishing stores across Europe and other continents, driven by their knack for catering to international travelers' needs with a wide array of tax-free luxury items. But it was when duty-free shoppers astutely capitalized on the growing affluence and travel enthusiasm of Asian tourists, particularly the Japanese, that growth really started to go parabolic. You see, the 1960s saw an exponential rise in Japanese travelers, driven by the country's economic boom and increased accessibility of international air travel. And DFS identified this trend early, strategically positioning itself to serve this lucrative market. Furthermore, around this same time period, one of DFS's strategic moves was opening its first downtown duty-free store in Kowloon, Hong Kong, in 1968. This initiative allowed the company to attract the influx of even more Japanese tourists visiting Hong Kong, offering a convenient shopping destination beyond the airport. Subsequently, the 1970s saw DFS continue its aggressive expansion, establishing stores in major airports and tourist destinations across Asia, Europe, and North America. You see, the deregulation of the airline industry in the late 1970s had made air travel more affordable and accessible, further fueling international tourism and adding Warren Miller and Feeney in their quest for even more expansion. Specifically, the Airline Deregulation Act of 1978 in the United States, which removed federal control over fares, routes, and market entry for new airlines, led to increased competition and lower airfares. This legislative shift made air travel accessible to a broader segment of the population, creating a fertile environment for businesses catering to travelers, including DFS. Consequently, in 1980, DFS secured a pivotal concession at Singapore's Changi Airport, one of the busiest and most strategically located airports globally. This move only further solidified DFS's presence in the Asia-Pacific region, positioning the company to capitalize on the growing influx of international travelers passing through Singapore. Even more interestingly, blending commerce and culture, in 1982, DFS commissioned the renowned American artist Andy Warhol to develop its iconic logo, reflecting the company's growing brand recognition and its association with luxury and high-end retail. Warhol's involvement added a layer of prestige to the DFS brand, aligning it with the art and fashion worlds and appealing to the sophisticated tastes of international travelers. Therefore, by the mid-1990s, DFS had evolved into the world's largest travel retailer, with a network of stores spanning multiple continents. And yet, for Robert Warren Miller and Chuck Feeney specifically, there was so much higher to climb on the net worth ladder, for their big payout was just around the corner. Now, in the mid-1990s, an upheaval was brewing that would forever reshape the fortunes of Chuck Feeney and Robert Warren Miller. And by then, of course, their venture had grown into a global powerhouse. And as DFS's success soared, Feeney, a man of modest beginnings, had embarked on an extraordinary philanthropic journey years earlier. For instance, in 1984, in a move veiled in secrecy, he transferred his entire 38.75% ownership stake in DFS to the Atlantic Philanthropies, a foundation he had established in Bermuda 2 years prior. And for over a decade, this divestment remained a well-kept secret, even from his business partner Miller, as Feeney's philanthropic identity stayed hidden. However, in 1996, Feeney's plans to sell their shares in the retail behemoth to the legendary French luxury conglomerate LVMH Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton, run by none other than the iconic Bernard Arnault, hit a significant snag with business partner Warren Miller's opposition and the threat of a presumptive lawsuit. Feeney, worried that the legal battle would force him to reveal his divestment of ownership to Atlantic, thus decided to publicly disclose his philanthropic activities. And the revelation, first reported by the New York Times, sent shockwaves through the business world. It revealed that Feeney had already donated a staggering $600 million, earning him the nickname, the billionaire who wasn't. But while Feeney's fortune had been channeled into his charitable foundation over the years, Miller emerged from the deal as a significant shareholder, retaining a 38% stake in DFS alongside LVMH's majority ownership. The sale not only solidified Miller's status as a billionaire, but also ensured his family's continued involvement in the luxury retail empire he had co-founded decades earlier. Therefore, the 1996 transaction marked a profound turning point, shaping the destinies of the two founders in vastly different ways. For Feeney, it unlocked unprecedented resources to fuel his philanthropic mission on a global scale. For Miller, it cemented his legacy as a titan of the luxury retail industry and guaranteed the continuation of his family's stake in the business he had built from scratch. In the coming years, we would find out just how different these two gentlemen's ideas of success were, as they both spent their billions in vastly different ways. In the ensuing years, Feeney's philanthropic ventures scaled unprecedented peaks. By the time the Atlantic Philanthropies concluded operations in 2020, he had donated an astounding $8 billion to a variety of causes worldwide, including education, healthcare, and human rights. His unwavering commitment to giving while living became a beacon for philanthropic heavyweights like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, who hailed Feeney as a pioneering force and an exemplary figure for those aspiring to make a difference. Concurrently, Miller's wealth and influence flourished. He expanded his investment portfolio, establishing Search Investment Group Limited in 1973, an international investment firm where he continues to serve as CEO and chairperson. And Miller's passion for sailing also bore impressive results. His monohull yacht, the Marichal 4, set new transatlantic crossing records. With a net worth hovering around £1.5 billion, Miller stands as one of the wealthiest individuals in the United Kingdom. Conversely, despite his business success, Feeney maintained an exceptionally frugal lifestyle, sporting a $10 watch and using plastic bags to carry his belongings. Now in 1959, Feeney married Danielle Morali Daninos, a French citizen, in Paris. The couple had 5 children, Juliette, Caroline, Leslie, Diane, and Patrick, before divorcing in the 1990s. And Feeney granted his ex-wife a generous financial settlement, including all 7 of his homes. In 1995, he married his longtime assistant, Helga Fleis, but Feeney's modest living stood in stark contrast to his business partner, Robert Miller, who embraced a life of luxury, especially evident in his daughter's grand weddings. In 1992, his eldest daughter, Pia, married Christopher Getty, grandson of oil magnate J. Paul Getty, in an extravagant Balinese ceremony where hundreds of Indonesian children showered the couple with rose petals. 3 years later, Miller's middle daughter, Marie Chantal, wed Pavlos, the Crown Prince of Greece, in a televised $1.5 million wedding at London's St. Sophia's Cathedral, attended by over 1,400 guests, including numerous European royals. Not to be overshadowed, Miller's youngest daughter Alexandra's wedding in 1995 to Prince Alexander von Fürstenberg, son of fashion designer Diane von Fürstenberg, was a 2-day, $4 million affair in New York. The celebration featured fireworks over the Statue of Liberty and a star-studded guest list, including Bianca Jagger and Barbara Walters. Thus, the divergent paths of Feeney and Miller illuminate the varied ways the affluent can choose to live. One embraced a life of understated generosity, while the other indulged in extravagant displays of wealth and living the high life. And now, we'd like to see you in the comments. Who do you think was the smarter of the two, Chuck Feeney or Robert Warren Miller? We love hearing the input of our viewers, so we look forward to your input. And thanks again for joining us for another episode of Old Money Luxury. Cheers, until next time.